Hmm. Welcome. Welcome to the locker. As you can see, this is not A White making the introduction. This is your man V Styles, and because A White is handling some stuff today, we got the boys from the Cat Talks Wednesday with us tonight. Vinny Hardy and TB. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man? Man, I appreciate y'all coming on, man, and short notice, but we're gonna try to make this thing happen. Now, I don't understand why it's showing up. Let me tell y'all something. Right now, y'all seeing Terry twice and me once. I apologize for that. That's your boy hasn't been used to this, and he's trying to get back on this thing. But what do y'all guys feel about it? We're gonna get right into this, and we ain't gonna going to prolong this because I got something that I want to talk to you guys about that I thought about on my way home today. What's your thoughts on Clink Scale going to Michigan? Because I got a weird thought about this. Right. I'm not sure where his where he come from. I really don't. I know he has some ties there though, but I'm not sure if he's a Michigan boy, like he's raised there or not. Um,
and like they was gonna keep it moving. They're gonna make a hire and guy that they think fits to keep doing what they've been doing.
Fellas, just FY, seems like I'm having trouble with my audio. Let's see. Man, no one can hear us right now. I don't know why. Oh man. See, this is the problem.
My man JD says.
Here it is. It's working now. Can y'all hear us now? Text. Hit me up on YouTube. See if y'all can hear me now. I think we're good. Y'all just missed a lot of what Vinny just broke down. Oh, my man, Clink Scale. The question I had for the first question was, I was wondering how about this Clink Scale hire, and I want to hear these guys' view, and I'm not going to have Vinny regurgitate what he just said. But here's the deal. This is what I got out of it. Is we're going to have to get used to this as fans. Now, this is normal. Look at what Saban did. Saban loses assistants every year, almost seems like. So this is something that when you are successful, you're going to lose assistant coaches. That's a good thing. And especially on the defensive end, I have no problem with losing assistants because we have a pretty good track record of hiring the next guy up.
Yeah.
So no problem. What's your thoughts on that, TB?
Exactly. My only question would be how to make that move to Michigan in a vacuum. I get it. It's Michigan. But also, you look at Harbaugh's situation, and you have to think, is Harbaugh in a better situation than Stoops? You know, Harbaugh is kind of on borrowed time there in Ann Arbor. Stoops seems to be more secure in his job. So that would be my only concern with going to Michigan right now, was how much longer is Harbaugh going to be there? Because, you know, Ohio State's had their number. Michigan hasn't competed like they want to compete. So, you know, that would be my only concern. But to what you guys are saying, this is to be expected. You know, when you're successful, you look at, like you said about Nick Saban, all his assistants, you know, the Kirby Smarts and all these guys. You know, you look at the NFL and you have a coaching tree. You look at the Bill Walsh coaching tree and all the guys that came off of it. This is what happens when you're successful. So I don't think it's a cause for panic. I mean, it may not be a cause of celebration, but it just may be an acknowledgement that the program is headed in the right direction.
And if Liam Cohen comes in and does what he plans on doing, I'm sure he's expecting to get some calls and have a decision to make about opportunities in the future that he may or may not look to take.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's going to be what happens. You know, I think as long as you've got Coach Stoops and you got Vince, those are the two you have to keep at this point.
Right. That's the same thing like Wandale. When you're successful and people come here, you might not get them for 4 years. It's like the basketballs there. People want to get these guys for 4 years. It's not going to happen. My question, though, is what's going to happen on the recruiting trail? See, now, this is my take. Hear me out on this one. Now, it's interesting that a lot of people are saying that since Clink is gone, we're going to lose a lot of recruits. We're probably not going to get the DBs or whomever he was on this slate, we might not get. But here's my take. If we don't get them, did we really want them? Is this a guy that Clink bought into and sold to the staff? And the staff was like, okay, Clink, we'll let you get these 2 or 3 guys because we trust you. But they're not wholeheartedly on it, because why would Stoops let Clink Scale leave and then not have a guy jump on the recruits that Clink had on his slate? There are some guys that I've heard that we have no one on the staff that is talking to those guys now. What you guys thought on that?
Well, I think with recruiting, the one thing Kentucky is doing now that it hasn't done looking back when you played, they're looking into the Midwest and looking at the Big Ten footprint. That's part of the reason Klink is gone, is because of the job he's done in Michigan. And you may not be able to go to Ohio and get those top tier guys that go play Ohio State, but there's lots of dudes in the Midwest, and Kentucky's making inroads. So even though losing that recruiting connection with a particular coach hurts, Kentucky now has a brand. Kentucky now has a brand to sell. And outside of Ohio State in the Big Ten, I think Kentucky is a more viable option, even compared to Michigan. You look at the bowl games Michigan has been to lately. You look at the bowl games Kentucky's been to. So coaches come, coaches go, but I think it's an easier sell with the program where it is right now.
And I mean, he like TB said, he did a lot in the Midwest. Looks like he was the guy that brought in Yusuf Corker. But I don't, as far as DBs and all that go, I don't see Chris Westry and Beatty and Mike Edwards being recruited by Klink. They came to Kentucky somehow. So and there were some, successful DBs, moved on to the next level. So he did a good job. But somebody else brought in some other DBs that got on the field and put in work also.
Right. Yeah. Well, though that trio of DBs, I think they were recruited by Derek Ansley, or they were under him, and Klink came after them. And that's the thing that I've been saying, is that, remember how up in arms we were when Derek Ansley left to go to Bama. We was like, oh my God, this is going to be the end of the world. And we got Klink. Yeah. And now we complain about Klink leaving. I have no doubt about it that the next guy is going to be the next Klink. So,
yeah. So Brandon Eccles, Lonnie Johnson, and looks like Yusuf Corker were some of the DBs that jump out from him. So yeah, he did bring in some dudes.
Oh, he brought in some dudes.
Some other guys brought in some dudes too, is what I'm saying. And that's kind of, I guess, what you want. Everybody bringing in some dudes, and then you can just, if you do lose a guy to a Michigan, whether Michigan is stable or not, you can bring in somebody else that can fill that void and keep the train moving.
Yeah, it's easy to be a national recruiting brand when you're winning. And we're going to segue to Coach Stoops. This is all, I don't know what Coach Stoops' vision was really when he first got here, but whatever it is, he is feasting on it, because I don't know if you guys saw the CBS coaching ranking. They had Stoops in on the top 25. Do you think he was ranked too high, or do you think he was ranked too low?
I think he's steadily climbing, kind of like we've seen the program do. Kentucky's probably should have been ranked some years when they weren't. And if that's the case, then maybe they should have been a top 25 program already. He's finally getting some recognition as a top 25 coach. Been in SEC a long time. We saw the 5-7 seasons at the beginning, and then we've seen the 7-5s. We saw a 10-win season. You win 8 with Lynn Bowden. You drop down to 4 in a 10-game SEC schedule, and then you go beat a ranked ACC team in the bowl game. So, and now this schedule, Van, you know it better than we do, but it looks pretty favorable for this year. The defense is going to be fine. Quarterback is the question, but you just get a little bit of balance and give C-Rod a not stacked box every once in a while to run through, then, it looks like the offense is going to be fine too.
I think so too.
And the thing about Stoops, he's got support from the athletic department. The facilities have been upgraded. They're actually putting, as Coach Cal likes to say, scared money don't make money. you've got to put some money out to get some return. And so when you're looking around the SEC, and Stoops is one of the longest tenured coaches, and like I addressed earlier, when you look around the country, how many coaches are really safe in their job right now? That's your top 25 list. Even if those guys, right? Saban is probably pretty solid. I would say, but honestly, because you can look at different coaches. You look at Kirby Smart down in Georgia. There's some rumblings. The Texas situation. There's some rumblings. Down at Florida, do they like Dan Mullen like they did when he first got there?
They should.
But Stoops is one of those where he's got 90% of the fans are behind him now. That's a pretty good deal. On top of like our dude Corey Price, it's always dropping knowledge. You look at the NFL draft, and Kentucky's one of 5 or 6 schools to have a first round draft pick in the last 4 or 5 drafts. I mean, that's selling the program. And these are dudes that are diamonds in the rough, So, I think he's top 25. The folks here in my hometown don't want to hear it. But you take out the first couple of 2-win seasons, and Stoops has done an incredible job compared to what we have seen previously in the program.
You go to your home state, Van.
Uh-oh.
Orgeron won a title, but if he have another year like last year, they'd be wanting to run him off.
No.
I mean, if he don't bounce back from do better than last year,
Coach O got a lot of issues on his hand. See, here's now we're gonna go off the rail a little bit since you just put me in my wheelhouse. Here's the problem with Coach O. If you forget, the year before the national championship season was not a good year.
Yeah.
So fans here, and we are smart. We understand that the reason why they won a national championship was because of Joe Brady. And Joe Brady left, and you see what happened. And to top that off, this Mama Jamma hired Bo Pelini and let Mike Leach put up almost 100 piece on him. The beginning of the season, that wasn't a good look for his brand. And then you add on that. See, this is what then you add on that here. The whole rape allegation. It just adds up on him. He is really in trouble. I'm gonna just say this. Winning cures all ill. He better start winning.
But that title ain't even buying him no time anymore. It's already the time that title bought is already on borrowed time.
That title was on borrowed time when Mike Leach put 30-some points up in the first half. they were like, when Joe Brady left, they were like, okay, what you gonna do, coach? What you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do.
They didn't even get the pennant, banner pennant thing. They didn't even get it pulled up there yet. It was already like, come on, hey. You mean?
No. I'm gonna say this though. I'm looking at this top 25 list, and I think we undersold. See, now the thing to me is, are you ranking this on coaches or you're ranking this on the brand? Because if you're ranking this on coaches, he's higher than 22, I think he's at. I think he's top 15 on coaches. Mm-hmm. We got to remember what he's doing. We've all been saying he's making these 2-3 stars into draft picks.
Yeah.
If we're going to rate him on coaching, he's top 15. Like some of these guys, like I like Matt Campbell at Iowa State, but I like Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, but and what has Jimbo really done with his $7-8 million salary? It's some things that when you look at the talent level at Kentucky during his tenure, how he's improved it. Some of these guys have stepped into powerhouses, traditional brand powerhouses. I understand if you're going to based off of brand, but off of coaching. I think he's top 15. And
you look at, and this is his first head coaching job. Stepped into the SEC, stepped into a 2-10 Kentucky program, replacing Joker Phillips when the cupboard was stone cold bare. And I remember his second or third year, I called into his call-in show one time. I just asked him, I said, have there been any curveballs that you have, surprises as a first-time head coach or anything that's caught you off guard? He said no, which, I mean, you move over one spot from coordinator to head coach, it's totally different. But he, at that point in time, he said he hadn't seen anything that, blindsided him or caught him off guard. And he's gotten better as a coach. We remember a few years back, there was, clock management issues. We remember the Florida game where we got guys just not covering receivers twice. Or that's another win against Florida. That stuff, as he likes to say, when you lose a game, we got to get that cleaned up. He's cleaned up some stuff as a head coach, which is only natural when you get more experience and get more comfortable in the role and you delegate and get your assistants doing what you need done. So, yeah, you can see why he would climb the ranks. Maybe from a national perspective, he's not as high as he should be. People still think Kentucky and still think, well, that's just Kentucky. But he's slowly climbing up the ranks, just like he's done with the program, just methodically going about his business.
Right. But here's the thing too about that is, he played at Iowa for the Hawkeyes. All the Stoops did, I believe. Kirk Ferentz is the current coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes. He is third all time in Big Ten wins,
right,
behind Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler.
Right. And
I think we talked about this before, Vinny, on our show. I'm familiar with Iowa now, right? Thanks to my fiance. But they're talking about, okay, who's going to come in and replace Kirk Ferentz? And he's the dude, right? He's had Iowa. They've had some BCS games. They've had some this, that, and the other. And Stoops is on that list.
Right.
It's not just Kentucky fans saying, hey, look what Stoops is doing. It's other folks that are like, my concern would be, 4 or 5 years down the road, Kirk Ferentz steps down. Stoops has had a pretty decent run. Iowa might come calling. It's entirely possible that they want, to bring him back. So, again, it's nice to have a coach and a coaching staff that people want.
Right. So now you say that, right? You brought up Kirk Ferentz. We're not talking about longevity and history. We're talking about right now. Like Mario Cristobal. I love Mario. It's like Mike Gundy. Is Coach Stoops doing a better coaching job than those three that are ranked ahead of him?
I mean, I would say so. It's when they make these lists, like you said, Van, what are you looking at? Are you looking at X and O's? Are you looking at how you're doing compared to like your program history? I think there's so many factors you have to look into, but all those coaches on that list, I mean, of course you put Nick Saban and Dabo, they're in their own group, right?
Right.
They're doing their own thing. But comparatively speaking, I mean, Stoops is doing an incredible job. I mean, you just look at the SEC East. Look at all the coaches that have come and gone since he's been here. What Tennessee's had 3?
Yeah, Bush.
Yeah, Dooley. Yeah. Or was it 4?
Dooley and
him and Bush came at the same time, I think. And then you got Heupel, Pruitt.
Yeah.
Brooks Jones.
That's 4, right?
That's 4.
And Dooley?
Yeah, I think that's 4.
I guess.
South Carolina's on their second. Missouri's on their second or third since he's been here. So,
Pinkel, Oldham, Brinkwood. Yeah, word.
So, you got to feel comfortable as a Kentucky fan that there's at least that consistency.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'm going back to my day. We're still disrespected, and we'll disrespect even more when I read yesterday, I think, that the over-under on our win total is 6.5.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Vinny, you just brought up earlier about the schedule being right in our wheelhouse. 6.5?
And since he's been there, he's beaten everybody in the East except Georgia. He's beat got the win against Florida, beat Tennessee, beat Vanderbilt, beat South Carolina, had multi-year winning streaks against South Carolina and Missouri.
Yep.
And look, Missouri won last year. Tip your cap, but Kentucky had a lot going on, and they won. They might come to Lexington and win this year, but I don't see it. And Missouri's getting a lot of hype, and with Coach Schlarman and everything going on, there was just a lot happening, and it was 20-10. They didn't whoop Kentucky and Columbia last year, so I mean it's like you said, 6 wins, the over under, and with this schedule and what he's done, that's like you said, that is pretty disrespectful. And didn't somebody have him just beating Louisville by 1 the other day? Didn't that come out as Kentucky's a 1-point favorite over Louisville?
Yeah, and that's the thing is when some years ago when you look at the schedule, there was the 2 guaranteed wins against your directional schools and all that kind of stuff. But when you were going through the SEC schedule, you had to talk yourself into a lot of wins, right? You're like, if this goes right and the defense does this and we get 4 turnovers, you don't have to do that anymore. If Kentucky just plays its game, like Vinny was saying, you let Chris Rodriguez Jr. do his thing, open up the offense a little bit. The defense is solid. If Kentucky plays its game, that's 7 to 8 wins. Without really looking at the schedule too deep.
And I look at when TB, you and I will do our, win-loss projections on the show, and sure you can factor in when somebody has a bye, when they face you, and this kind of stuff. But for years, Kentucky was just that give me win. When Stoops was first there, he took his beatings. He went 2-10 his first year, 5-7. Start off hot and then get in the conference and just can't sustain it. Now you look at this schedule. Look at the first-year coaches on the schedule. South Carolina with Beamer. Tennessee with Heupel. Vanderbilt with whoever they replaced Coach Mason with. I can't even remember his name. I still think we're a couple steps ahead of Missouri. So look at that. That falls under beat who you're supposed to beat. You ain't got no business losing to these teams with first-year coaches when you kind of established, and Georgia is now your target. And they're open. Big Dog's always talking about, Georgia's next. The next thing we got to do is beat Georgia. So if that's the case, don't be slipping up against Tennessee and Vanderbilt and South Carolina when they are clearly, in Vanderbilt, spinning their wheels and trying to get some footing. You take advantage of them being in that position.
Yeah, that's simple. If you look at the schedule, you got Monroe, Chattanooga, New Mexico State, Vanderbilt. That's them wins. Come on. Them wins. That's 4. Louisville, 5. South Carolina, 6. Now, you telling me we're only going to go 1 for in conference? Do you really? We haven't gone 1 for in conference since when? Since probably my year.
1-10.
1 for. So you really think we're not going to go? If you want to tell me, I'll go 7.5. And I like you said, Mississippi State is not there yet. I'm telling you guys, LSU is going to struggle. And getting them in Kentucky, hopefully be a little cold. I know it's only October, but you know how Lexington is. You never know. And if you think Tennessee is hitting on a lot, I got something to sell you, because that I just can't see it. I'm floored at the disrespect. It just doesn't make sense. It's like we just got a guy, 1st round pick this year in Jamin, and we got Boss Man's 2nd round pick. Where's the respect? Like that impact of those two guys is bigger than most people think. When the last time you guys have seen a first and second rounder go at UK?
I mean, that's where we are. And the thing about it too, guys, is we're not just talking hypothetical. It was just two seasons ago. The Kentucky-Georgia game was a de facto SEC East title game.
Right.
When they met, winner won the SEC East. So it's not like we're talking, crazy talk here. Kentucky's at that point.
And gave them only won it last year with no offense. It was 14-3.
Yeah. The game was winnable. And that's the thing, too, is I know, we're way beyond the moral victory stage. Kentucky really hasn't been outclassed. I know Bama last year, but not like it used to be.
Right.
Where you can say, man, look, a couple of plays break a different way. We're beyond that now. And that's that big hump as a program you have to get over. You have to get over those close wins, like you guys are saying. Those give me games, those games you should win. You got to start winning them all the time. That's how a Boise State gets over that hump and becomes a legitimate, football power. You just got to get over that, over that hump and start winning a lot of those games.
Hold on. I just want to remind you guys, we played Georgia in Athens. Do you guys remember what that score was? We had a turnover, touchdown. We had our punter, who just got signed to Denver, hit his worst punt of the year. And they got the ball on the 30-something. And guess what? They scored.
Yep.
That game in Athens was right there for us too.
We dropped a touchdown.
And we dropped that too. Through our hand. So it's like we're not that far away from Georgia. With Kirby, with his hotbed recruiting in Georgia, he don't even have to leave the state if he really doesn't want to. Yep. And we were right there. I mean, if you look at 2018 in Lexington, now I know he does it to everybody. But if you remember that one play where, God, what's the running back name? Just slipped my mind. I can't think of his name right now. Shook Mike Edwards' jockstrap off for the touchdown. We were climbing back into that game. We're not that far off. I'm not saying we are perennial champion, blah, blah, blah. But we are not that far off from the top. And we should have beaten Florida like 2 or 3 years in a row.
Oh, yeah. Because it was 36-30, and that was got cheated out of the play clock on that one.
Yep.
14-9 in Lexington.
2 touchdowns uncovered.
Yeah. 28-27 was the 2 touchdowns. So there's so many one possession games with Florida these past 4 or 5 years.
So what do you guys think about Duffy signing in Denver in a Mile High with that thin air? What is he gonna? He's gonna make the team, and he's gonna kick an 80-yard punt.
My only concern is he's that rugby style kicker, that we saw where he was, getting those extra couple of steps. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
On the run up. So can he make that transition and just do the general, was it 1-2 kick kind of thing? That would be my concern. Just his kicking style.
Or they can do like some teams, they adapt to the rugby style kick.
I
think he can do either or. I've seen him kick traditional and he's fine. It depends on I don't know who their special team coach is. I should have looked at that, but it depends on how they want to do it. If they brought him in, he's got a chance. I just think even with the traditional kick, just in that thin air, it's going to help him out tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
80-yard punt for sure. When I saw it, I was like, Denver, oh, my goodness. I'm with you on the 80-yard punt. Fangio's the head coach. I'm trying to think who the special team coach is. Brock Rock Olivo. I don't know.
I don't know him. I know some of the old heads, but I don't know some of these new ones.
No.
So what do you guys talking about signing? What do you guys think about Alan Daly signing with South Alabama? I'm finally hearing. Look, I'm gonna just say this. I'm finally hearing some of our guys who went into the transfer portal finally getting picked up. Because I'm like, all these guys left, but they still on the street. So I'm glad to hear him going to. And I like South Alabama because I actually got one of the guys from my high school is gonna go to South Alabama. Is South Alabama? No,
Dothan.
Alabama Birmingham. I take that back. South Alabama is a nice campus.
Yeah.
It is a nice place, and I hope Allen succeed there because I think Major Applewhite is there, whom is a Baton Rouge native.
Yeah, hopefully he can do his thing, catch some balls, and have a nice transition down there. I just gotta wish him the best. I hate to see him go. If I was a receiver, I think I would have been a little more curious to. Oh, okay, Liam Cohen. Okay, especially with the way it's been. I've had to do a lot of blocking, haven't been able to run a lot of routes. That's best for the team. Let me see what this Cohen dude is gonna do. Let's see how he opens things up. Let's see how he puts stuff into play that can, balance things out and the whole thing. Throw the ball down the field. I think I would have stuck around. Is he afraid of somebody beating him out? Is he? Is the competition? He didn't want to.
I think you hit the nail on. Look, we talked about this earlier. As a player, there's nothing worse than to be an upperclassman and they bring in a freshman or a redshirt freshman. He comes under you, and they basically looking at him like he's the next guy up. And you're like, what about me? Well, you got a new coach come in, and what I've heard coaches say, this happened to me with the Bears, is you was with the previous regime and didn't do much. What do you think that you would be able to do something better with me? If you couldn't show anything with them, it's gonna be tough because the thing about being a veteran is when you're in your third year, you know the scheme, you know the offense, you know the defense, you know it like the back of your hand. So you got an advantage if a freshman comes in, right? He knows nothing. But when a freshman comes in and y'all both learning the same playbook at the same time, where's your advantage? You have none. And this guy is fresh. The coach who came in new knows him more than he knows you.
Yeah, that's true.
Go ahead, TB.
Oh, I just you wish him well, obviously, but like you said, anytime there's a shakeup, they're going to go with somebody that they're going to get. If you are in your last year, they're definitely going to go with a younger person. Well, not definitely, but they're going to lean that way. But I wish him well. Like Vinny, I kind of hope that the offense opens up a little bit more so the receivers can actually do some receiving. But that being said, I think part of that was because the receivers wasn't doing a whole lot of receiving. I think it's one thing to say the quarterback's not doing X, but we all saw a lot of times the receivers, how do I say this? Maybe weren't making the most of their opportunities.
You're on a locker. Don't hold anything back, TV. Say how it is.
Part of that is we talk about we focus on quarterbacks. I get that. That's kind of the nature of the game. But if you just got dudes that aren't catching or aren't making a play on the ball, that makes you gun shy as well. So hopefully the receiving core is a little bit stronger this year. But as far as individual players, I wish them well. I don't want anything bad to happen to these guys. Even if it wasn't a fit here, hopefully they can find somewhere else and make that fit.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I have now I have realized that it is, I'm going to just say it because we've said it on here. I think Henshaw was a big problem with the offense. Anthony and I have said many times, it's just weird that the quarterbacks are not releasing the ball on time. And there was a video, we talked about this last week, of Stoops talking to Liam saying, yeah, we need to have him throw it in that tight window, getting used to it. So if the head coach is going to the new offensive coordinator and say, yes, we need to be spitting in that tight window, that makes me think the old regime, old quarterback coach, was sort of against throwing into tight windows. And now it makes sense. So, looking at some of these games and like, Terry, let it go. Just let it go. And he wasn't. Now it's like, oh, maybe he had the Henshaw on his shoulder saying, don't throw in that tight window.
So before he came to Kentucky, the coaches better than I do. That was a name. That was a pretty, I don't know if it's a hot name or a pretty reputable name. Eddie Graham been in the SEC at Auburn and Tennessee and all these places. And they like the Henshaw name kind of start getting momentum and stuff like that too. Or was it just because he got hot at Cincinnati and, that ain't SEC defense? What? Am I missing something? Did he, I guess he was paying his dues and working his way up the ranks, but what went wrong or what happened?
Okay. Let me ask you this. How many DBs have you heard of coming out of Conference USA? How many safeties have you heard excelling on the next level coming from Conference USA? I'm just saying that it's a reason. Plus, when they got to Cincinnati, they had a couple vets. They had a veteran quarterback. There's a lot to the formula, and one of them is you ain't got corners who's locking up man-to-man on receivers and throwing them off their routes. And that's a big difference. And not saying, and add on to that, our receiving core, I want to help people understand this. When you recruit on levels. You have a senior, then you might recruit a little less. You have a big senior class receiver, and you go on and go on. When Lynn Bolton went out early, that made other guys have to step up a year early, and they weren't ready for it. Mm-hmm. See, Lynn Bolton makes the game easy for everybody. It's like Rondo in basketball with me and TB, our Lakers last year in the bubble. When he came back, it made Pope's job, his role back to where it should be. Mm-hmm. It made Kuz's role where it should be. And they were not expecting to do things that they're not used to doing. And that's the same thing now with Bolton. Bolton makes the game easy for everybody. Bouvier doesn't have Bouvier, all that. Wouldn't have the year he had if not for Bolton. Because Bolton attracts attention. There's nothing worse for a defense to say, okay, we got to double one guy. You double one guy, that means everybody else in that secondary got to be on their P's and Q's, because if not, there's some zones that are open. And I think losing Lynn hurt that receiving group more than people want to lead on to or want to admit to. It hurts because we didn't have a guy ready to step up. And then we lose Epps. And he was probably the guy that would have made Josh Ali's job easier.
Mm-hmm. So one thing affects another.
It's like a chain. No doubt about it. Now, this is my last football thing, and then we'll go on to other UK stuff. What's you guys' thought on the program keeping Bo Knight after his off the field issues?
I guess I was a little surprised from what everybody was saying. You thought that they probably wouldn't keep him. TB already talking about how receivers haven't been doing a lot of receiving, And we've seen some turnover at that position. We've seen some receivers coaches come through, because that's kind of the position that is still trying to get squared away under Stoops. If you can kind of nitpick and get on him, that would be that group, that position. And so if you're not really getting a lot of production from the position that you're coaching on the field, that's already got you on thin ice. Then you go out and get a DUI and speeding and getting arrested. Now your life ain't together off the field. So I thought his ice was really thin. And so, them ain't the kind of, check marks or stuff. Them ain't the kind of sequence of events you want to happen when, you're hitting, and now you go out and do this. But he's seemingly survived it now and getting disciplined internally. I was surprised, to see him be retained. In a nutshell.
TB?
Oh yeah, same. I mean, you could pretty much just look at the on the field stuff and say, okay, we're not getting what we need to get. And then on top of that, so I don't know all the internal workings. I would assume that Stoops has him set up with a particular you have to do X, Y, and Z. So I don't know if he's hoping to have some continuity in the receivers room. I don't know, but I was a little bit shocked when it first hit. I was like, oh, that's that's kind of a gots to go situation. You would think, but I was a little shocked because for me, if you're the head coach and you do this, it's not, if he messes up next time, it's not just on him. It's now on you. So if you're the head coach, you have a limited amount of goodwill, right? You have a limited amount of juice if you're the head coach. I'm surprised that he would use a little bit of Stoops. I mean, would use a little bit of his juice on this situation. That's what I'm kind of shocked about.
He gonna have to lay low, coach his guys, and hope Wandell shows out and saves his job, I think.
Oh, the dude's got to start snagging everything.
Wandell be Wandell, and everybody forget about me, and that'll save my job, I think.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not forget what I said about Coach O? Not so fast. It's gonna take your Christian Lewis, your Magwoods, and your Rosses to develop for him to get a reprieve on this issue. I don't think
the Kale and Drennan too.
Yeah, I don't think this is the year. Now he got to keep his nose clean off the field. But look, I'm gonna just say this, and then we'll go on to one more thing. As a defense, there's nothing worse than not having film on your opponent. It's nothing worse. You don't have film on your opponent, you are calling calls in the dark. No one knows how Liam is going to introduce this offense. That's his advantage. You don't know if you're going to do when he was in the Northeast, run the offense up there. You don't know if he's going to run an offense similar to the Rams. I'm going to tell you something right now. It's not going to be as Rams as you think. Remember, those are professionals. These are college guys. It's not going to be the exact same offense. All right. The same reason why Drink at Missouri is going to have issues this year, because last year he had a lot of things go his way. He had missed games. He had 2 weeks of preparation for us where he shouldn't have had. He should have been playing, I think, Bama, Florida before us, and they didn't. Teams now have a whole season of not just any film. We have SEC film. We got 8-9 games on Missouri against SEC opponents. Oh, you think they're not going to come ready for Drink this year? That's the advantage that we have this year. So that offense with Bo Knight and Settle and Walford and Cohn and Morrow is the only mainstay. They should be good next year. because no one knows. And the offense should be evolving week to week. So you might be able to game plan what we ran 3 games ago, but the offense progression, we are on to the next level of offense. It's going to be hard for defenses, except your Bamas. Now, that's a whole other story. But we don't play Bama this year, so don't worry about it. So we should be cool this year. Both nights should be cool. And we got Wandale, and we have a really good receiving core. It's the next year when the teams have 12 games of film on you. How is this receivers going to play then?
What makes, I know Bama is great, and what makes Saban be able to call defense in the dark, even if he hasn't seen it? Is he that much better of a coach than anybody? Is his staff that much better? Or is the talent just that much better? I mean, we know they're that much better, but what makes it to where, oh, it don't matter, we ain't seeing y'all, we can still lock y'all down? What makes them be able to do it?
Because Alabama can play base defense and still beat you. Alabama can play their intro, their install of 4-3, quarters coverage, quarters half coverage, cover 7, whatever you want, whatever they call it, cover 6, whatever they call it, and still beat you. Because they have dudes enough that are up there that can beat you. That's how. See, that's why I tell people about being too aggressive on defense. When you're aggressive and one guy mess up, it's usually a touchdown. When you play your base coverage, they might get a big play on you, but you're going to live to see another down. So all this blitzing and stuff, if you blitz and one guy miss a tackle, it's out the gate. So Alabama can play their fundamental base defense and still beat you. That's how they can call in the dark. Because what's going to happen is they call in the dark, right? First half. And you're not really hitting on all cylinders. Then Alabama goes like, okay, on first down, I see they like to run this. So now we're going to go from vanilla, but now we're going to switch it up on you. And now the other team's going to halftime like, okay, they run their vanilla defense. This is how we're going to attack it. Then you go in the second half, and then they flip it on you.
I got you.
Then it's tough. Now, I'm going to say this. Stoops has been killing it. I'm going to say who else been killing it. Women's sports. And I hear all this stuff about Mitch Barnhart. I don't know why people hate him. I hear it's because of the checkerboard. I hear because he rubs people the wrong way. I hear this, and that, and the other. But you know what, as an AD, you know what we judge ADs off of? The program success. And I'm going to tell you one thing. When I was at Kentucky my senior year and we introduced the women's softball, they were horrible. The women's basketball team was horrible. The women's volleyball team had Molly Driscoll, and that was it. Now, our women's volleyball team, national champions. The women's swimming team, SEC champion. Women's softball team, what? This like their 6, 7, 8 year old going to the super regionals. It's like women. I'm gonna say this. I'm a big in women's sports because I'm a big fan of my sister when she was playing. We are right now killing
it. At one point this year, 8 of the 11 women's sports were ranked in the top 25.
Wow. Okay, Corey Price.
I've been fortunate enough to take my girls to a lot of the women's events, soccer, gymnastics, volleyball, different things like that. You have to tip your hat. We've got some great coaches. As you say, Van, I don't get the Mitch Barnhart hate. I've got my checkerboard shorts on right now. I know that seems to be the biggest issue. But when you look at on the field stuff, every program has had its best season under Mitch. Even the 38-win 2012 men's basketball national champions. But every team has had their best finish in the last 4 or 5 years. And so that's Mitch Barnhart, his staff, Dwayne Peavy, that was his right-hand man for a long time. we had Mr. Peavy on the show, what, 2 or 3 times, Vinny?
Yeah.
And he just talked about his commitment. The first time he came on was some years ago. He said, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to compete at these different levels." That's what he said. We said, okay, cool. Then he came back on 3 or 4 years later. We met those goals, and this is what we're doing now. I mean, think about it. The volleyball team just won, right? The women's track team was NCAA runners-up a couple years ago.
Right.
The gymnastics team, they've been back-to-back Sweet 16 finishers, right? Softball is elite. You know, they're getting. They need to get over that. I think that's the issue. They're at Alabama this weekend. They need to host one, but they're right there knocking.
Right. I don't know what to say, but I'm gonna say one thing as an AD. Right. One of your jobs is to hire qualified, talented coaches. Period.
And fundraise. I mean,
fundraise.
Drive by Alumni Drive. Go to Lexington. Go to Alumni Drive, and the stuff that was just fields when we were there.
Right.
Look at it.
Right.
Kentucky Proud Park.
Right.
John Crop Stadium. The Bell Soccer Complex. Look at Kroger Field.
Yeah.
I mean, even Memorial looks completely different with the jumbo scoreboard and all that kind of stuff. So the stuff you want your AD to do, hire those coaches, get that investment. Mitch is done.
He's done.
He's been athletic director of the year.
Yeah.
He's chaired the men's basketball selection committee. You know, he's that dude. And you look at the people that have worked under him. He's got 3 guys, I think, that worked in the athletic department.
Yeah.
They're now ADs.
Yeah.
Of their own. We talked about you want that on your football program. You want that in the athletic department.
Right.
You look at what Dwayne Peavy's doing. So, I there's little things you can nitpick with Mitch Barnhart about, but results speak for themselves. I don't know where y'all from.
Right.
But if you walk the walk, that's what it's about.
Look, when I saw the little snippet on TJ, I think Collette, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, baseball player, when he said Mitch himself called him and said, we will allow you to come back. We want you to come back another year on scholarship. And he was a senior. They didn't have to allow him to come back and keep his scholarship because he was a senior. And the COVID year allowed him to come back. And Mitch himself called, not the head basketball, not Mangione or whomever else. Mitch called him. That to me said a lot. I don't know what else you want from the guy. I really don't. This program has been successful for at least the last few years in that award, that cup that awards the total program success.
The Director's Cup.
The Director's Cup, we have been amazing in that. So hats off to Mitch, man.
Before Mitch, and I hate to overtalk you here, before Mitch, we were in the 60s and 70s. Right? Since Mitch, we've been, I think, of the last like 6 or 7 years, no worse than like 16. Right.
We've been in the top 20 for sure.
And top 20 for sure. And even you'll crack that top 10. I'll be interested to see what happens this year with the women bringing it home.
Hope. My man Ant White, this last question, I don't want to keep you guys all night. My man Ant White asked, what is the Hoops team going to do this year? I know you guys are basketball fans. What are we going to do this year?
They're going to improve. It's hard not to see improvement. And TB and I talked about it last week before. Everybody 9-16. Corey Price actually had to work to dig up stats as to how bad the team had been since
you had to go on microfilm. Y'all know what I'm talking. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You got to go on the microfilm.
Wow.
Worst season of our lifetime, worst season of your parents, grandparents. Nobody's seen Kentucky that bad. And, people getting on Cal and thinking he's complacent with the lifetime contract and all this, that, and the other. And, COVID, everybody had COVID. Well, that's true. But now you see him, the actions. Maybe I think I said it last week. I think people wanted him to just come into his post-game press conference and just throw a table or throw a microphone, be mad. They wanted Cal to be as mad as they were when they were watching the game in their living room. And he's not going to come out and be like that. He's going to say, his same stuff. Though we get better, we had this go wrong. Guys let go of the rope. Same old stuff that he says. But now that the season's over, you see by his actions that, he's a prideful dude. He's a competitive dude. He was just as pissed at 9-16 as we all are. And now he talked about getting more shooting in here, and everybody, I don't believe it. Well, you go out and you get a CJ Frederick, who, from Terry's second University of Iowa, who's like a 47% career three-point shooter. Kellen Grady from Davidson, 4-year starter, average 17, 18 a game.
Whoa, you said Davidson?
Yeah.
That's Steph Curry University. That's not Davidson.
That's right. That's you're right. Right. And Kellen talked about working out with Steph at Steph University and taking things from Steph's game. The kid from Georgia, Wheeler, who maybe he improves his shooting, maybe he doesn't, but he can get in the paint and get dimes because he's going to be giving the ball to dudes who can finish way better than they were at Georgia. So all of these pieces are coming together. It lets you know that Cal's about the business of getting this ship turned around. We got big men there. We don't know Isaiah Jackson. I don't think he comes back, but maybe he does. Whatever Brooks does, whatever Mintz does, it's going to be a lot better than it was. It's going to be right back in the mix, contending. It's going to be fun to see. Do you throw Allen and Grady and Ty out there and put some snipers out there and fire. I know he's a defensive guy, but he got options to where, we sit in the NBA game and you can light it up and you got guys that can stretch the floor and all that. So I'm not saying they're going to win a title, but I'm saying it's definitely going to be an improvement. It won't be the struggle that it was last year. You see it kind of fitting together better than it did last year. It just never fit. It never clicked last year. And it's a wonder it doesn't happen more because you bring in all these freshmen. It could have not clicked a lot more than it has since he's been there.
That's why you got to think about COVID. That's the only variable that's different from the past. New guys, new face all the time. But this year was
no COVID. Preseason, none of that. Yeah.
Okay, TB. I know you got a lot on this one.
Oh, I mean, they'll absolutely be better. I think I said before on Twitter, how I start tweeting, but Kentucky basketball was due for a year like this.
That's true.
Like we were just like, I think about midway through the season, I might even said on our show, like we were due for this. Mm-hmm. Like nobody remembers Kentucky being this bad. So we were kind of due. The universe demanded y'all have been great and you're due for this. So everything people said they wanted Cal to do in the postseason, this offseason, he's done. He's checked every box. Justin Rowland, our good friend, he's been as critical of Cal as anybody. And even he and I had a conversation, and then he said, hey, Cal's doing it. Like he's, everything you wanted to get shooters, you wanted to get ball handlers, you wanted to shake up the coaching staff. He's done all those things. And for my money, if you're a gambling person, you can't bet against John Calipari. He's too prideful for letting this be the way he goes out. Right? If he's going to leave Kentucky, if he's going to stop coaching, it's not going to be with a 9-win team. So he's loaded up. He's using the transfer portal. And people need to keep in mind that Coach Cal's whole thing has been on the cutting edge. with the one and dones, with the way he ran his offense at UMass. He's always been on the cutting edge of how to develop players, how to get talent. A lot of fans this year, Coach Cal's nothing without, some one and dones. I'm like, did you see him at UMass? Yeah, he had Marcus Camby and dudes. And UMass was one of the best teams in the 90s. You look at what he did at Memphis. Yeah, we know Derrick Rose. Can you name any other one of those guys on that 2008 Memphis team? Maybe Chris Douglas Roberts, maybe Joey Dorsey. I only know that because Mama B's from Memphis. So but what I'm saying is, Cal he ain't new to this. There's a reason he's in the Hall of Fame, and you, people complaining, are not. I don't know if they're going to go to to win number 9. I know that we need to appreciate these wins way more than we usually do. So it's a bounce back year.
Fact.
Long story short.
Fact. All right, guys. I'm not going to keep you any longer. I appreciate you guys coming on with me. Tell the people how they can follow you. I know Vinny got the Believe. I'm going to say it right now. Believe. And y'all got y'all Cat Talk Wednesday. Tell the people how they can catch you, follow you, listen to your show.
And we've been doing Cats Talk Wednesday for 7 years now. You can catch it on Anchor. We put the links out. Go to our profile there. Like the Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter. Support the podcast. Tell your friends. Whatever you want to do. But we do our thing. Get great guests like yourself and Ant. Kentucky media types. All kind of folks been gracious enough to come on, and have fun each and every Wednesday.
Yeah, we've been. When I look back at the guests we've had come on, it's been like to say our little show. I don't know if we can keep saying our little show because we've been having a lot of ladies, a lot of dudes come on, a lot of movers and shakers. But check it out. Like I said, we've been doing this, 7 years, man. That's crazy.
Hey, listen, it's a good follow. I'm gonna tell you this: y'all had Sinbad on there, and that says it all. When you have Sinbad on, that says it all.
Can I do the Sinbad story? I tell the story all the time.
Of course.
So Vinny's he's the booker, right? Vinny will get the guests. What usually happens is Monday or Tuesday before the show, Vinny will say, like, look, I'm having so-and-so come on. So Vinny sends me a message. I think it was like that Monday or Tuesday. He said, Sinbad's in Lexington. I'm going to see, he was at the comedy off Broadway or whatever. He said, I'm going to have Sinbad come see if he'll come on. I'm like, man, Sinbad ain't coming on. So that Monday or that Wednesday, we get radio. He said, hey, Sinbad say he's going to call in. I'm like, Sinbad ain't calling in, man. Why's Sinbad going to come on? So we start the show at 6. And Vinny, he kind of lays out what our agenda. He's like, and we're going to have Sinbad at the end of the show. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, Sinbad ain't coming on the show. Like, why would Sinbad come on the show? So we get to 7:30, right before Vinny sent me a message. I got Sinbad on the other line. I'm like, man, ain't no Sinbad on the other line. He brings Sinbad on. Sinbad come on, hey, fellas. And you can hear me say, it's Sinbad. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, of all the guests we've had, we appreciate them all. Probably one of the most interesting guests we've had. I mean, he talked about Different World or The Cosby Show. He talked about all those movies. He talked about, like, he played football. He talked about going to different sporting events. He gave us a rundown because remember he went to the Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson fight. Like, it was a great 30 minutes. So, we've been fortunate to have a lot of different folks come on and help out, especially Van you and Anthony White. I like to think that we kind of helped y'all set this up with the locker because y'all kept coming on our show over talking like, hey, maybe y'all need to get your own show. How about y'all do that? Y'all want to do all this talking. Why don't y'all do your own show?
Right.
y'all come on individually. Y'all come on together.
Yeah.
Years, both of y'all, and the arguing on the offensive guy, defensive guy. Y'all always knocking heads on stuff. It's great, man. It's great.
But it's been fun, man. We've been blessed doing it, and we've been all over the country covering these cats, so it's been a good thing.
Yo, sure, man.
Trust me, y'all, it's worth a follow. Cats Talk Wednesday. Follow them on Twitter. Listen to their anchor, and we'll have you boys on again when we can fill off 4 screens. So again, I appreciate you guys coming, man.
All right, appreciate it now.
All right, later.
Thank you,
All
man.
right, I'll see you tomorrow, Vinny.
Yes, sir. You do it. Appreciate it, man. Hey, man, if you break